You probably heard that the 2022 receiving class is not nearly as good as the last two, and you probably be correct in that aspect, but I think there's some guys that really could put their names on the map, and I think this class actually, kind of looking at it, and I can't wait to deep dive into it further this summer, is a lot better than what people are giving it credit for. And we're going to go into that today. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know so. And let's go ahead. Let's get into this list. I'm going to rattle off my top 20, and then I got a couple of other guys that I've looked at that we'll talk about at the end of the video. But let's start this off with my number one. And I know some of y'all are going to roast me in the comments, but I got Traylon Burks. He's sitting here at the top. After watching him, I've kind of fallen in love with him. You're going to see stars next to some of these guys' names. Just means that I consider them first-round prospects. Now, I love this dude's size. Size, speed, and physicality. Dude's 6'3", close to 230. And typically, the thing with him is a majority of all his snaps came in the slot. 464 snaps in the slot compared to only 73 on the outside. That used to be a big red flag for me. That was why I wasn't that high on Justin Jefferson. Typically because you're almost getting free releases every play. You're not experiencing press. Well, after the Justin Jefferson debacle in my eval, I was like, you know what? Maybe Maybe I'm just putting too much value in that. This guy, he's big, he's physical. He can get off the line if need be. I'm not saying this guy's Justin Jefferson. I'm just saying their usage was very similar. Burks not nearly as smooth as an athlete as Jefferson, but the dude's also much bigger, like almost 30 pounds bigger than Jefferson. And he's got like 3 inches on him. But I love this dude. I think he's got very strong hands. Some people will be like, oh, his catch rate ain't that nice. That's because his catch rate was kind of botched a little bit in 2019 because he was mainly used as a vertical threat. So he's during that year, like his drop rate wasn't spectacular because he was making very low percentage, or he was given very low percentage targets in terms of, the ability to catch those. He's actually pretty good on the contested catch, 15 of 29 over his career. And when they started using him more on the intermediate, like his catch rate improved, like 7.4% drop rate, which for still, it could be better, but I think he's got very strong. I still think like this guy can just mean bug somebody at the catch point. And he's got a very complete route tree. He showed he was very good after the catch, and that's what I love here. 9 forced missed tackles, almost 400 yards after the catch, baby. That's that yak in 2020. This guy is extremely good. I'm sold. Don't blow it this year. I got hurt by Tamari and Terry last year. Don't do it to me this year, Burks. Garrett Wilson at Ohio State is number 2. Him and Chris Olave are very close, and they're very similar prospects. Former 5-star recruit with Wilson, very similar body type and skill set to Olave. With what? Olave is just an inch taller and a pound heavier, at least listed, with Garrett Wilson being 6 foot, 188. But for me, it's just the after the catch ability that sets Wilson apart. If you're going to compare the two over the last 2 seasons, then I don't think it's that close. With Wilson with 73 catches, with 322 yards after the catch, 10 forced missed tackles, compared to Olave, who saw the higher volume, yet had less forced missed tackles, and just slightly, only 5 more yards after the catch. So for me, I'm giving it to Wilson, but they're both very close. In terms of Olave, very polished route runner. I think he's got some really good speed, great hands, only a 3.4% drop rate. And by PFF, they said his step is he had a step or more of separation on 87% of his targets since 2019. That's kind of ridiculous. But again, man, last year does nothing after the catch, only 5 forced missed tackles for 172 yards. Like, for a first round prospect, for me, that's not that great. That's why I still think he's kind of a middle to late first round guy. And then Drake London, I'm on the train, man. I did a real deep dive into him I guess Friday, and I really love this cat. Former 4-star recruit. He's rumored to be a very fast 40 guy. And you kind of see that on the field. He really he displays good acceleration and quickness. He primarily worked out of the slot the last 2 seasons with over 600 snaps in the slot and only 32 on the outside. So he's going to be playing on the outside more now that essentially all the receivers from USC are gone with Tyler Vaughn and Mon-Ra St. Brown. This dude, I think he needs to create more after the catch, because he's really good at forcing guys to miss, but he doesn't get much after that. And I mean, my part of that is like guys get to him quick, so he forces one guy to miss, and then he's brought down by another guy shortly thereafter. He has like 27 forced missed tackles through 2 seasons, but it only amounted to a little over 400 yards. I think in terms of like yards after catch, I think that could be much better, but I like that he can force guys to miss in the first place. Very sure hands. Only a 2.7% drop rate. 2 drops on 97 targets. The dude's a monster. He's much more than a go up and get it type of guy. I just need to see him take that next step, especially on the outside. I would love that. And then I have David Bell here. He's like fringe first round for me. And I'm just going to say this. If you love George Pickens, because I know people are going to be like, where's Pickens? He's like the best receiver in this class. I think you're dead wrong, and we're going to prove that right now. Or at least in my opinion, we're going to. Because David Bell and George Pickens, I think they're very similar prospects, especially in size. I think Pickens, he's 6'3", 200 pounds. Let me check that real quick. 6'3", 200 pounds, with Bell being 6'2", 205 pounds. Both are neither are very good, like very elite separators, but both do a very good job of creating windows with their physicality and their body control. Both have exceptional body control. You could go out and take a look at some of the highlight catches from both. So let me tell you why Bell should be your guy and not Pickens. All right. So for the most part, these are kind of jump ball guys, right? Okay, let's take a look at that. Contested catches. Let's see. Pickens, 14 contested catches to Bell's 30. Phew, Bell's a little more polished in that area. All right, what about forced missed tackles? Pickens, 7. Bell, 23. Bell creates after the catch. Let's take a look at that yak, because you already know with that amount of forced missed tackles that Bell's yak is going to be great. It's close to 600, almost doubling what Pickens has in terms of yards after the catch. To put it simply, Bell, if you love these guys' physical style, Bell is at least better at the contested catch. And on top of that, less penalties. Let's go with that too. He actually forces guys to miss after the catch. He's good. He's just good after the catch. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. If you're a Pickens guy, and then you have to be a Bell guy. Because Bell's in a worse situation considering the quarterback play and just the overall talent on that Purdue squad. Yet he continues and continues and continues to produce. David Bell is a very good prospect. Next, I got Justin Ross here. He's not a first-round talent to me just because of the injury concern. It's a serious injury. I'm glad he's returned to play, but spinal cord, he ended up having a fusion surgery too. So, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how that affects him going forward. But even then, like, he's very similar to T. Higgins, who ended up falling in the second round, and he didn't have the injury concerns. Ross, he's more of a vertical threat. He's very physical on his routes. Yeah, he's 17 of 38 on contested catches, but drops have been an issue through 2 seasons. Well, not obviously not last year, but through 2017 and 2018. 2018 and 2019. There we go. He has almost a 10% drop rate. That's kind of concerning. But again, he's also being thrown very low percentage catches. So that's not that great. And then Khalil Shakir, dude. I'm a big fan of Khalil Shakir, man. I love this cat. He is 6 foot, 190. He seemed like one of the top slot only receivers before 2020, because then he moved to the outside and did not miss a beat. He was still creating after the catch. He has almost 700 yards after the catch with 24 forced missed tackles since 2019. Yeah, he'll never be a contested catch guy, but he showed that he could play on the boundary, he could play in the slot. I love that type of versatility, and you know what he creates after the catch, I'm kind of sold. Now, this one might be a sticking point for some people. I got John Menchie, the third here, and you're gonna see why in a sec. I know Bama, they're just churning out these high-end receiving talents year after year, but like Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Menchie, he ain't on that level, at least yet. There's a few things now. In terms of what he does great, he's a great separator, especially versus press. He has some of the cleanest breaks at the top of routes. He puts it into another gear, makes him hard to catch up with. Now, where does he fall short in terms of those other first-round guys? Hands, close to 10% drop rate. Kind of an issue. His ability after the catch, only 5 forced missed tackles, and he's not a good at the contested catch, 4 of 13. Those three things, even if he just improves the after the catch aspect and the drops being the biggest part of it, then yeah, okay, I'll be more willing to make him a first round prospect. I'm just not there yet just because of those things. So let's see a full year of play, and then let's revisit this. And then Jakari Roberson out of Wake Forest. Hopefully I didn't butcher that for you, Mr. Robertson. But this dude is pretty legit. He's probably going to be... he might end up being a slot only type of prospect, 6'1", 182. Doesn't mean he can't succeed on the outside. We just haven't seen it. But he's a very crafty route runner. He gets great separation. I love the after the catch ability. He had over 400 yards after the catch with 15 forced missed tackles last year, with last year being really his only full-time play there at Wake Forest. Just don't know if he'll be able to win on the outside. Just haven't seen it yet. Ty Freifogel out of Indiana. You might be like, what? How's Pickens not in the top 10? I don't have the same amount of questions with our boy Ty compared to Pickens. Just simply that. We'll get into Pickens in a sec, though. In terms of Ty here, he's a jump ball contested catch guy. His average depth of target was 15 yards down the field or further. Excuse me. 10 of 18 on contested catches. This was before Penix got hurt, because this number got worse, but also so did the level of talent at quarterback. Great body control, very sure hands, only a 4.3% drop rate over his career. He just runs a very limited route tree, not a great separator. He's a contested catch guy. And you're going to see a lot of these guys in this year in the draft. While last year we kind of saw smaller, better separators, maybe even more slot guys. This year's kind of the opposite. We're seeing boundary guys. We're seeing guys that are more of that contested catch variety. And then let's move on. Let's talk about, all right, we're here. George Pickens. I got him here at 11. I won't deny it. The dude's a fierce competitor. He's a big jump ball guy. He's 14 of 32 on contested catches with an average depth of target being 15 yards or more. But then there's the injury red flag. He had an upper body injury versus Kentucky that cost him a few games. The ACL just recently, so we might not see him until late October or maybe early November in college football. There were some character concerns about his academic ineligibility. Some say that he was close to being academically ineligible. Wow, why is that so tough to say for me? I could only trace stuff that went back to high school, but people were saying about that he almost couldn't play for Georgia. I couldn't find anything that said that. So, two things here. One, it's made up, so I don't care. Or two, he's there to play football. He's not taking school serious because he sees football as his future, which then I don't care. It just means he's got a love for the game. That's his end goal. I mean, it'd be nice, but that he wouldn't be costing himself that, if this is true, of course. So I've kind of taken that red flag and kind of tossed it. I don't really care about it. Doesn't do much after the catch. That's what gets me, man. 7 forced missed tackles over his career with 300 yards after the catch. 11 penalties, too, through 11 penalties through 2 seasons. So that's a bit concerning, but I get it, man. The dude, he's got great body control. Like, he is a highlight reel waiting to happen in terms of what he can do downfield. It's just, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just not that high on guys like him. Then Reggie Robertson Jr. should have came out last year if it wasn't for a knee injury that cost him all of 2020. Through the first 4 games there for SMU last season, he had 22 receptions for 468 yards, 6 forced missed tackles. He had 223 yards after the catch. Like, dude, he did have a drop problem back in 2018. He had 9 drops that season. He only had 2 in 2019 and 2020. The dude, not ideal contested catch guy, but I like his speed. He runs a variety of different routes. I think he's a surefire day 2 guy. I felt the same way last year, so I'm not going to change much as long as he returns to form. Dominic Baylock, out of Georgia here. This is more so just because Mike Renner seems to be pretty high on him. I went back, watched a little bit of him, but it's such a small sample size. It's like only 300 some snaps. ACL injury cost him 2022, but he played a lot of the snap. It seems like he's got decent ball skills. He was like 2 of 4 on contested catches. That's not where they that's not really where they how they use him. It's more so he was used a lot in the middle of the field, but he's very agile. He gets separation pretty well. So typically he's not in those contested catch situations. So I got him here. We'll see this season. Might have to move him up, might have to move him down. Jahan Dodson out of Penn State. For me, this is like a Kirkland brand KJ Hamler. He is a big play threat, and he also has similar drop issues to Hamler. He had an 8% drop rate throughout his career, but I would say he might be more competitive at the catch point than Hamler, though. 7 for 16 on contested catches. So he's a guy to watch out, man. Only 5'11", 182, so I don't know. Jalen Tolbert, though. This guy, 6'3", 195, huge catch radius, nice body control. He is, again, the draft is filled with these jump ball guys, essentially. He hauled in 12 of 15 targets, and this was on inaccurate throws of 10 yards or more. That's right, inaccurate by the quarterback. Inaccurate, yet catchable. Not an elite separator, but I think much like some of the other guys on this list, he does a good job of getting physical during the route and creating windows for his quarterback. But again, he's at South Alabama, though. The competition's not that great. Romeo Doubs, Dubes, out of Nevada, dude. He enjoyed a breakout campaign in 2020, and it should be more of the same this year because he brings back Carson Strong at quarterback. So I say he brings back. Carson Strong's coming back. That duo ought to be dangerous there in Nevada. He is not a jump ball guy, or at least in my opinion. He's 19 of 53 over the course of his career on contested catches. But I think he did some of his best work on like intermediate routes. That's kind of like his bread and butter, which is great because that's where a majority of NFL passes happen, on intermediate routes. He did show off some after the catch ability. 12 forced missed tackles for over 300 yards after the catch. If we see more of the same, probably a guy that rises up my list. I like his size, 6'2", 200 pounds too. Frank Lansing Jr. I've seen him high on lists. I don't understand. For me, he just seems like more of the same that we've seen. T. Higgins, Justin Ross. You could even say Cornell Powell. I just don't think he's nearly as good. Like, the dude has a 15.6% drop rate. Like, he's got bricks for hands. He's never eclipsed 300 yards in a season. I don't think there's a good shot he even declares this year. Like, he just hasn't been shown the opportunity, and the opportunity that he has had, I don't think he's made the most of. But they really did kind of use him as a big downfield threat. And I don't think he was that particularly good at that. So, I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, this is the guy I'm not behind yet. Tash Harris out of Syracuse. The reason I went to go watch him was because I was like, all right, who was the best after the catch receiver that's returned to college football? Here's your guy, man. He's 6'2", but he's only 164. But I dare say he might be a better version of Tutu Atwell. This guy, I really like Harris a lot. He had 22 forced missed tackles in 2020. Just a very elusive. Played mostly on the outside as well, man. 1,000 snaps on the boundary. Drops were an issue, though. I mean, to be fair, he's around that 10% drop rate, but a lot of them were because he's used a lot off of the screen or the slants. A lot of them were looking upfield to make the play before he had secured the ball. It wasn't, I think, a ball skills problem. It was a focus drop problem. So, yeah. Never going to be a contested catch guy, though. He was 3 of 17 in 2020, but I really don't care if he is. Like, I love what he can do after the catch. So, just a guy to keep your eye on, man. Check out his highlight reel, too. Oh, man, you're going to need a cigarette after. I'll just say that. Javion Heiling? Man, I need to learn how to pronounce these guys. Unfortunately. Sorry if I butchered the name. I'll have it down. Just give me the summer where I have to hear it like nonstop. 6'2", 190. Just a guy to watch out for. He's got good size with a little bit of after the catch ability. He's actually fairly decent on the contested catch too. I mean, 6'2", he goes up and gets it. But again, lesser competition. Kind of worry. Hands were kind of an issue for him as well. But that Coastal Carolina team returns a lot of talent, so they should be very good. And then Charleston Rambo. I talked a lot about this cat last season because of Todd McShay. Had him in his mock draft, and I was like, what the heck? Checked him out when he was at Oklahoma, and was like, what does this guy see in him? Because I had him as a 6th rounder, and that's probably the grade I'm going to have on him now. Even if he transferred to my favorite team, the Miami Hurricanes, the U. Let's be honest, man. He is... he's 6'1", 175. He is like, there's no comparison. Devontae Smith might be the exception. Not Rambo. That ain't him. Very thin frame, really little to no after the catchability. Drops were an issue last season where he had 13.8 drop rate. Not physical at the catch point, nor is he physical at the line of scrimmage. So getting off the line of scrimmage might be a concern. Still solid route runner though. Just in terms, there's not that many guys that I've really checked out thus far, so I imagine Rambo will fall a little bit. Here's some of the other guys. Emeka Emzie at NC State, 6-year senior. I had him in my 2022 mock, so that just kind of tells you how long he's been eligible for. 6-year senior, just a possession guy there at NC State. I do want to check out his teammate. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I remember watching MZ and was like, who is that cat on the other side? So he might find himself on the list. KD Nixon. Some of y'all might want to hype him up. He is a bargain bin, Rondale Moore at best. He has done nothing through his collegiate career. Might be a special teams guy. Speaking of special teams guy, Jalen Adams out of Southern Miss. He's just going to be a return man. That's probably the only way he gets drafted. And then Trey Knox, I don't understand how this guy starts on the outside. And some people are pretty high on him. I've seen him in some top 10s. I've seen him in top 15s. I don't think he's that impressive. Then Jadon Hasselwood kind of got an asterisk. Just the sample size is too small there at Oklahoma. So we'll see more of him this year. So maybe he can emerge quite a bit. But that's it for the video, man. We went over a ton of guys. I want to hear some of your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know some guys you think maybe should be included on this list, and I'll go ahead and I'll add them to my list of guys to check out over the course of the summer. But thanks for hanging with me. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.